All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful stories of family betrayal and a faith that just refuses to be limited by the present moment. This is a story about a legacy that wasn't forged in power, but in forgiveness.
So, picture this. You've got years of simmering tension, a really dark secret, and just one person kind of holding it all together. And then, that person is gone. What happens next? Well, that's the crisis that just explodes at the end of Joseph's story.
So our story picks up right at this moment of crisis. The patriarch, Jacob, has died. And with him gone, a deep-seated fear that has been buried for decades just comes rushing right to the surface.
You see, for years, Jacob had been this buffer between Joseph, who's now, the second most powerful man in Egypt, and the very same brothers who sold him into slavery. With their father gone, they are absolutely convinced that the time for payback has finally arrived. Their guilt, which has been simmering for decades, is now just boiling over.
And you can just hear the raw fear in their own words. They are 100% certain that Joseph has just been waiting for this moment to get his revenge. They're basically projecting all their own guilt onto him, fully expecting him to repay their evil with, well, more evil.
But this expectation of vengeance, it's about to collide head-on with a response they never, ever saw coming. One that is going to completely redefine their family's entire future.
Joseph sees their terror. He sees them shaking, pleading for their lives. But instead of the anger and hatred they're bracing for, Joseph just weeps. His reaction isn't that of a powerful ruler. It's the reaction of a heartbroken brother.
This is the pivotal moment. With this one question, Joseph does two incredible things. First, he immediately puts their fears to rest. But second, and way more importantly, he reveals this unbelievable humility. He's saying, vengeance? That's not my job. Judgment doesn't belong to me. He puts himself under a much higher authority.
And what Joseph does next really unpacks the incredible belief system that's guiding him. He's living out this concept called divine providence. It's this really profound idea that even the worst things people can do, the most evil human intentions, can be taken and woven by God into a grander plan for ultimate good.
And this is where Joseph's response gets so powerful. He doesn't just forgive them. He reframes the entire story of his life, showing his brothers a bigger picture they were never able to see before.
He draws this amazing contrast, and he doesn't downplay what they did. He acknowledges their intent. He says, yeah, what you did, that was evil. But then he puts their human plan right next to God's divine plan. Their act of betrayal was literally transformed into an instrument of salvation.
And right here, this is the result of that divine plan. Why did any of this happen? So that Joseph would end up in a position in Egypt to save not only his own family from a devastating famine, but countless other people too. His personal suffering had this massive, world-saving purpose.
And Joseph's forgiveness, it wasn't just cheap talk. It was all about action. He actually forgave them, lifting that massive burden of guilt off their shoulders. He comforted them, speaking with kindness instead of accusation. And then he provided for them, promising to take care of them and their children. He completely overcame their evil with undeniable good.
Now, this whole reconciliation of the past is huge. But Joseph's final legacy isn't just about looking backward. No, it's about looking forward with a faith that's going to outlast his own life. Joseph lived to be 110 years old. I mean, a long and full life. After so much turmoil, he was able to experience this tremendous blessing and actually see the fruits of his faithfulness pay off right there in his own lifetime. What's truly amazing is that he got to see God's promises play out across 4 generations. He saw his own children, his grandchildren, and he even held his great-grandchildren on his knees. He literally witnessed the nation of Israel begin to blossom right before his very eyes. And yet, despite all his success and power and family in Egypt, his dying wish shows you exactly where his true identity and hope were really anchored. It wasn't in his present reality, but in a future promise. This is Joseph's final command to his people. He makes them swear an oath. He's basically saying, listen, Egypt is not our final home. God has promised us a land of our own, and he will come for you. And when he does, you take me with you. So what does this final command really tell us? It shows his absolute certainty in God's promises. It shows a hope that reached beyond his own death and a powerful faith in a future exodus that was still centuries away. Think about it. He was a prince of Egypt, but he chose to identify himself as a son of Israel, waiting for a promised future.
And that just leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Joseph's story starts with just immense pain and betrayal. But by anchoring his life not on his past wounds, but on a future promise from God, he transforms that legacy completely. It's just a powerful example of how looking forward in faith can ultimately heal even the deepest wounds of the past.